Hi, I'm John, and welcome to what is officially called Cardiac Cook. So why are we doing this video? Well, I like to cook, and of course, we'll talk about that in a second, but basically low sodium cooking that tastes great. And why does it have to be low sodium? Well, back about a year and a half ago, we had ourselves a heart attack. I'm 49 years old and having a heart attack? Are you kidding me? Well, if you look back, maybe a little genetic. My great-grandfather passed away. He was 28 years old. My grandfather was only 3. So I think maybe a little genetics is in there. Might be a problem too. But hindsight, checking out the food that I used to eat for 10 years now. I've been a tow truck driver. And of course, on a regular basis, lunch was easy. Stop at a fast food restaurant, get a burger and fries, drink. It's nice and hot, a little greasy maybe. We know that. Sometimes you skip the fries, sometimes not, whichever. Anyway, 10 years passes by. Obviously, my diet's not exactly the greatest. Might have something to do with it. But I'm always doing physical jobs. I'm, not exactly a, overweight guy. I'm thin. I keep healthy, working hard all the time. Even past decade back from that, even oil patch. I worked hard. Physically active jobs, never had a problem. So why are you having a heart attack? 49 years old. Well, we spent 3 weeks in the hospital. Surprisingly enough, the hospital ward, the 9th floor, there's not a stitch of sodium in that entire floor. 4 months off work. I get to go back to work. I probably pushed myself a little bit hard to get back to work. I was getting kind of bored at home. Doctor let me anyway. So back to work we go. I only got half a heart now. It's not exactly working like it used to. You still have to eat a little better, have to plan a little bit better. And so what I used to do, cooking, well, now I've got to cook it without the sodium. I remember coming home from the hospital 3 weeks after the heart attack. Wife went through this house, left, right, and center, took out everything that possibly had any sodium in it at all. Well, that's not really realistic. So you have to eat with a little bit, but not necessarily as much as you used to. So I think it's important for some people that are kind of like me to maybe understand what you can and cannot cook and how to cook it, make it so that it still tastes great. I thought I'd share that with you, and that's the reason why we're doing the videos now. Today, we've decided we're going to do some ribs. Now, I, just like anybody else that cooks a little bit now and again, I love to do ribs on the smoker when there's more people, when there's more time. But today we're going to do ribs that are just in the Instapot. And we're going to finish them off in the oven. And I'm telling you right now, yeah, I like it in the smoker. It's a little bit different, but I can hardly tell the difference between that and what I do in the Instapot. So pay attention, follow along. Hopefully you enjoy the video today. All right, once again, we're going to do basically a smoked rib without the smoke. All right, we're doing it in our Instapot. At this point, we're just going to prepare our meat. This is hours in advance. You need to do this about at least, I recommend 2 to 4, even 6 hours ahead of time. This is what you're going to do. You're going to prepare your meat. So I got some of these ribs here, and they're Cryovac. There's 2 separate racks of ribs on here, which is more than sufficient and more than we need to actually cook for just the wife and I. So we're just going to actually separate them. I'm going to actually take the skins off both of them, but I'm going to save one for a later day. We'll freeze that back up. Actually, this is fresh. It's never been frozen, so we'll freeze that back up. And then we're going to take the skin off of it. After the skin is off, we're going to put our mixture of our rub spices on it, and then we're going to wrap it in cellophane. And after wrapping it in cellophane, then we're going to put it back in the fridge, and we're going to let it just kind of coat that rub on there for the next 3 to 4 hours.
Yes, master.
Remember to turn notifications off before videotaping. There's one good one. We got a second big one here. We're going to save this one right here. Okay, so before you put your rub on, you actually got to get the skin off the inside wall of the ribs here. Okay, so there's this small little skin. There's a bit of a trick to getting it off. You can't just cut it. It doesn't want to cut. It's very extremely thin. And grabbing a hold of it, oh, I got actually a good one here. They're sometimes very difficult to get a hold of. So I got a hold of that. See that skin? I'm going to grab it. And if you have a tough time grabbing a hold of it, sometimes it's a little bit slippery, right? Sometimes the chance are you can do this. Use a piece of paper towel so your hands are dry. Also, it immediately dries everything. If you grab it a hold of it with a piece of paper towel like this, pull real slow. Wow, I'm amazed. You get all of that, because if you don't get that off, then it doesn't allow the rub to actually penetrate into the meat. Okay, I'm going to do the other one too. Let's see if we can get a hold of that one just as easy. See, there's a cut in the skin down here. I'm hoping I can grab it on this end. And if you can't get a hold of it initially, sometimes you do need a knife to kind of get underneath it initially. But the knife doesn't help it because it wants to just break the skin. Oh, there, I got a hold of it. A little bit. Using the paper towel again. Oh, I got some of it, but it tore. Oh, there we go. We got most of it. There we go. Well, I got most of the way before it ripped apart. There, I got a little bit more. Excellent. So because these are so large, and I have to be able to fit it inside the Instapot, I'm going to have to cut it. I'm going to cut it right down the middle here. Right? And most importantly, we're going to put it on the other side. Look on the other side, see a little bit of stuff maybe needs to be trimmed. Oh, get some of that fat. A little bit of trimming. You'll want a little bit of fat though, because that's where some of the flavoring is going to go in. But not too much. If it's loose pieces, it's not so good. Let's check that one out. That one's pretty good. All right. I like to get it as dry as possible, so we're going to pat it with some paper towel here, because a lot more moisture is still going to come out of this meat. All right, a little more on this side. Get some of that blood out of there. All right. Now, this mixture is actually a mixture that I actually used from a brisket. It says on there, brisket from January 20th is when we did a brisket. It was the last. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this brisket mixture, which is exceptionally similar to anything you would use with your ribs as well. So initially the rub mixture here had 3 tablespoons of paprika in there. There's 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of onion powder, 1.5 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of pepper that the wife doesn't know about, 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 3/4 teaspoon of dry mustard, 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne in there. So now I used about half of that for the brisket previous to this, and I only needed half of it, so I'm using the other half, which is actually about the same. I've looked up some of the recipes for ribs, and it's about the same amounts as well as that I have here actually for 2 ribs. So there should be plenty here actually for just 1 single rib. So all you do is you grab a hold of a bunch here and you just sprinkle it on there. All right, just about enough on this one side. We're going to flip them over in a bit. We'll put it on the other side, just the same. All right, flip over. Flip over. Make sure you get it on the ends here. This is where you want it to soak in. Not too much of it's going to soak in on the inside of the ribs. But you still like it there actually when you're eating it. There's not that much left. Just gonna sprinkle it. Lots of it's gonna end up on the cutting board here. But I usually like to roll it and dip the ribs. Patting it. So it's completely coated. Kind of like shake and bake on the ends. Okay, this one's about ready too. Awesome. Okay. All right, so now that it's all nicely coated, everything seems to have a lot of spice on there, and there's definitely more than enough, but you want it to soak up as much as possible. We're going to wrap them with cellophane, a couple of different wraps actually of cellophane. We're going to put it back in the fridge for a couple more hours for it to just soak that rub into the meat. All right, so we're going to pull out saran wrap here. Don't be short on it. You need lots. Take our rub here, or our rib, wrap it, fold it over. Press it in so that it takes all the air out of it. Put some more out. Flip it over, the top side was folded in. Now it's the other side that's going to get it. Wrap it nice and tight, get all the air out of it. One. Alright, so now they're ready for the fridge. 2 hours. Maybe pull it out so that it cools the meat off again. Gets to room temperature. Into the Instapot. 35 minutes of cooking. And then into the oven to brown it with some barbecue sauce on it. And honest to God, you'll hardly know the difference. Alright, so remaining pork ribs there that we had, I cut it up, put it in a freezer bag. Marked it, pork ribs, January 31st. It is today. Into the freezer we'll go with those. We'll cook those up another time. It's just the wife and I, and we feel like ribs again. Okay, so it's about 2.5 hours here before we're going to actually start our cooking process. But our meat has been in the fridge for a couple hours. All decked up with our rub. And we're going to actually bring it out because we want it to actually come up to a closer to room temperature. So a couple hours is up. Everything's been kind of resting itself out here on the counter. Not really that cold at the moment. That's good. We're ready with our Instapot. It's ready to go. We've got some other stuff that's ready. I'll tell you about that when we get that on the go. Just going to unwrap. Wow. Yep, smells good. Does it smell good? Yeah, Kira's come for a smell too. All right, so what you do, you just take your ribs and you lift it up and you kind of curl itself inside. Now I probably could get all four in there. I try to make it so that it stands up. We'll get them both leaning against each other, curled up like this. See if we can get them to stand and stay. I could probably fit all like the other half of this that we have set aside for next time. All right, we'll leave it like that. We've got half cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 to about 3/4 to 1 cup of water. And then we got a secret. All right, and that secret is, this is liquid smoke. Now you can basically simulate smoking flavor like you're smoking on a smoker with a little liquid soap, but definitely don't overdo this. This is from Cabela's. You can get this in different places, different brand names and that sort of all over. Literally 1/4 teaspoon, like that. That might have been about half a teaspoon. Any more than that, you're going to overdo it. All right, in goes our lid. We turn it on manual. We're going to 25 minutes. It'll automatically start. 25 minutes, it's going to pressurize. Once it's pressurized and gives it 25 minutes, then we're going to 10 minutes of slow release and then a quick release after that. And then into the oven, it's going to go for broil for about 5 minutes. After we add another secret, this is apple butter barbecue sauce, homemade. We have a tree that goes crazy every 2 years. And so we got to do something with the apples, and this is one of the things we do, mixing barbecue sauce and applesauce. Makes a barbecue applesauce. It's great for pork. Yep, that's definitely smelling amazing coming out of that vent. It's ready to seal up any second here. There it goes. Take a moment for it to pressure up. Once it gets pressure, it starts the timer, 25 minutes. 10 minutes on a slow down or a slow release. And then we'll do a quick release. All right, we've hit our 10 minutes of resting time. Slow release. We're going to quick release that now. Whatever pressure left in there. All right, let's see what we got. Steaming my glasses up even. Holy wow. Come take a look. Come take a look. Look at that. Starting to creep back from the bone. That's definitely getting to the fully cooked. Oh yes, more off the bone. All right, the barbecue sauce, because they're really, really wet at the moment. Gotta be careful that they don't fall completely apart before I get them in the oven. Alright, here's our synthetic brush. Works good. Just kind of dab it on there. Gotta watch because some of the rub is rather loose on top. Just putting a little barbecue sauce. Whatever barbecue sauce of your choice is great to put on here, doesn't matter. Preferably something you know works well with pork or rib. I'm just putting it on just the one side for now. Oh, on the side here. All right. And into, if you don't know the world of parchment paper, let me tell you, talk about making cleaning up so easy. Quick. Felt like it was falling apart there. Kira smells it too, don't you? Barely enough room in that pan. And I'll have to fold them over a little bit. Like so. In the oven they go. Check that out. A little bit crisply, caramely on top. You can't smell it, but I can. Running out of barbecue sauce. Okay, back in they go. Alright, so they're out. Just chop them into individual slices now. Oh yeah, yep, she's looking good. That's the middle one almost. Mm-mm-mm. It's tough with the light. You can see there's a caramelizing. This is where it's caramelizing, kind of crispified a little bit. It's not too bad. Not really burnt, but to the point of actually nice in color. All the spices have gone through and made it nice and, I don't know, dark brown. The bone, the meat is pulled away from the bone. That's a good sign of some really well cooked and nice and tender. This side's a little bit crispier than the broiling. I did the other side differently. A little bit too long maybe, but I like it a little crispy. Inside of the meat, yeah, definitely looks good there. Well, that last one looks like it's mine. Oh, well, oh, another bite too. Gotta. Oh, that's hot. Nice good flavor. Give it a try. Instapot does a good job too of smoking. Mixed garden green salad. There's lettuce, tomatoes. There's red cabbage, and there's some. I like the feta a little bit. Green or yellow onion. Sorry, yellow pepper, and shredded carrots in there. Then we got ourselves now, last but not least, some ribs. Oh yes, the best. Bon appetit.